Hey guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow and I am back with another video. Today's topic is all about med beds. So if this sounds like an interesting topic to you, please stick around, and if not, I will catch you at another video. So there's been some talk or some speculation recently if med beds, first of all, are real. And if they are real, when is the technology going to be released to us? And when we do receive it, what exactly will it do? So I'm going to cover all of those topics today. And in addition to that, I'm going to be discussing the reason we have not seen it up until now and why that is very much the case. So first of all, med beds. There's some question about if they are in fact real, or it's been a fabrication, or it's been something that's put out to give people false hope. Is it hopium? And I want to first of all cover the fact that no, it is not hopium. They are in fact actually quite real, but the technology has not been released to the public for a couple of reasons. Now, the first one is that technology like this is going to completely eradicate the need for doctors, the need for hospitals, the need for the old medical institution as we currently know it. Because of that, there's a very good reason why in the three-dimensional, the technology has been suppressed up until now. And if you believe that there is perhaps a shadow government controlling things behind the scenes in the three dimension that are not of the good and are not of the light, and if you understand it's because there is an astral realm, which we do discuss here quite a bit, and that the entities on the astral realm do not want the world to be in a high vibration, or do not want the world to be in a harmonious energetic place, because then they will be displaced and they will not have bodies that they can inhabit and have their jollies with. That a lot of those entities as well are working with the shadow government and working in concert with them, right? So first of all, these entities on the astral realm, they want loosh. Loosh is the emotion that we release in the three-dimensional when we are not awake and aware to what is going on, and can therefore be kind of like trained to have kind of like a Pavlovian dog, which if you're not familiar with what that is, there was many years ago somebody by the name of Pavlov, and he had done an experiment which was every time he would ring a bell and then feed the dogs would then come to have this association. A ringing of a bell means that they were going to get fed. And then he would ring the bell, but he would not feed them, and he would test to see the physiological response in the animals at that time. They would salivate. So it was to show that an association can cause a physiological response in an animal or in a person. So we've kind of been conditioned like those Pavlovian dogs to respond in a way, if we are not aware of what the actual undercurrent of what it is, but to respond in such a way that if certain information comes out, or if there's a certain event that happens in the world, we have big responses to it, and that creates a lot of loosh, and that loosh is then siphoned off of us, and it is consumed by the entities on the astral realm. Now, also, what better way, if, for example, somebody was, again, not of the light, what better way to keep yourself in power and control than if you are keeping people in a low vibration? You're keeping them scared, you're keeping them divided, you're keeping them unaware of who they truly are, which is we're all godly beings. We all have God's source essence inside of us. And to keep us trapped in this low vibration where we do not have the time or the space or the necessary interest even to start to explore our divine nature. So even if you don't want to take the route of believing that there's entities on the astral realm, but you believe, sure, there's a shadow government, for example, they're still very much benefiting from us staying in a low vibration. One way to guarantee that people stay in a low vibration is by keeping them sick, keeping them diseased, keeping them afraid for their family members who may be sick. And also what that does is when somebody is sick and diseased, they again are being kept in that low vibration so that they cannot explore their true purpose and primary reason in being here. So it all kind of works together, and it is all tied together, and it is all very much connected. Why in the 3-dimension it has been suppressed by this cabal or this shadow government. What I also was able to see, though, was that all of the systems have to come down to make way for things that are of the light. And one way in which that can be done is by introducing certain elements that might, for example, cause people to be mistrustful of the medical institution as a whole, or doctors as a whole. So what a lot of people are actually discovering right now is that doctors are advocating for certain medical and intervention, maybe in response to something that was very out and about publicly in the last 2 years or so, and that people were getting a certain something or another to hopefully combat what that was. Maybe you can see what I'm indicating here. Now, as more and more time is going on, people are realizing that the doctors, first of all, that were, and I'm not even talking about like the doctors, the big doctors, like the Anthony Fauci's of the world, that are maybe having a financial reason for wanting to push it. But now it's starting to come out that everyday doctors, so it's the everyday, pediatrician, it's the everyday general practitioner doctor. So we're now starting to find out that people like that also have a huge financial incentive to be pushing this, in addition to the fact that they themselves do not know, because they, when a doctor is trained in medical school, they are trained by big pharma. They are not given any, real education on understanding the way that the brain and the body work in concert with one another, or nutrition, or alternative medications. They are very much trained. If somebody comes in and they are presenting symptoms such as this is the medication that you give them. There's no curiosity or wanting to explore what is actually causing, what's the root cause of this person presenting these symptoms. So what modern day medicine very much does is it just masks the symptoms, allowing the person to think they're better, but it's just really putting a band-aid on a symptom, and it's not treating the root cause of what is actually causing the disease. So as a lot of this is coming to light, it's causing people to lose their trust and faith in the medical system. So things like that have to happen. Things like that have to percolate and simmer and kind of reach this crescendo where not just a few are starting to understand these things, and not just a few are starting to say, hey, I don't trust this, I don't want to subjugate myself to an experimental treatment of any kind. And especially now where we're just talking about the jab that was for this most recent thing, but where a lot of people are actually starting to look back and they're starting to look at the actual inserts of all jabs and understanding what the potential consequences and side effects can actually be. And a lot of people are actually discovering that they are vaccine injured because of the, oh, well, damn, I already said the word. But a lot of people are discovering that they're actually injured because of these things. So it's starting to shed a light on all of these things, and it's starting to build up momentum. And it's starting to build up more awareness of all of these things, in which it is causing people to question the medical system as a whole, not just as it relates to this and the most recent thing, 19, but as everything and as a whole, where people are actually starting to look into the Western medicine that they have been taking for a very, very long time and starting to slowly take themselves off of it in pursuit of maybe something that's more natural or homeopathic, or something that doesn't mask the symptoms. And if you actually think about it, up until just like I would say the last 100 years, medicine did not resemble medicine the way that it is today at all. And this is, I'm not taking a cheap shot at Western medicine. By all means, if somebody is hit by a car or stabbed or in an accident, or, you know, I cut my finger a few years ago and I needed stitches. Yes, for any emergency thing, I'm not going to say try the homeopathic route. I'm not taking a knock at Western medicine. It is invaluable and it does save lives. But if you go back to the way it was only a few hundred years ago, it did not in any way, shape, or form resemble the way modern medicine is right now. So a lot of the medication now is petroleum-based. It is not taking into account the herbs that were used prior to it. It's not taking into account the intuitive way in which people were healed very, very much. So it's just kind of been hijacked with this one-size-fits-all approach, where a lot of people can go to a doctor presenting, you know, even mental health issues. And the doctor is not even trying to understand what is going on in the person's life. They're not taking a holistic, entire view of that person to understand what are perhaps the environmental causes that the person is showing up with these mental health issues. So it's just, okay, this is what's going on. This is the pill that we're going to give you. So it's really bubbling up under the surface where people are starting to question all Western medicine. That is good. Maybe it doesn't feel good in the long term because it feels scary and it feels like, I don't know if I can trust my doctor. I don't know what I should be doing. And this is not a video. I'm not giving you medical advice. Please do not take this video as medical advice and say, I'm not going to trust my doctor for things that I have going on in my life. This is a long-term prognosis, right? So I'm just presenting to you the information that people are starting to be aware of the potential pitfalls of Western medicine, and they're starting to question it. So yes, that can feel very, very scary in the short term. That can feel like, what's going to happen? Are my loved ones going to die? Am I going to die? Am I not going to be receiving the best possible care that I can? The seeds have to be planted in which something new can flourish and grow. But first, the old has to come down to make way for the new. And that is what is going on right now, where there is questions, there's concerns, there's mistrust and distrust of people's regular day-to-day doctors, the medical establishment as a whole. And when you're going to add to it, you have this new layer of this transgender movement in which people's bodies are being changed, perhaps in an irrevocable way, where they cannot go back to the way that they were. It's causing a lot of long-term, perhaps medical problems that could arise. And what that is starting to cause is, first of all, you're creating, if you're not examining a person's, what is going on in their life, when you're not doing the complete holistic overview of what's going on, and you're just giving them pills, at some point for anything that's a mental health concern, the regular dose does not work to the way that it did initially. So the person ends up going on a higher dose. They can end up just going on a higher dose, and then it stops working as a whole, and then they're switched to a different medication. So big pharma is getting lifelong customers. As we, have been spending more and more time on this petroleum-based medication, and it is starting to cause long, health problems. Plus you have like the 5D, and there's just so many environmental factors, there's chemtrails, there's just so many reasons and ways that people are starting to present with these health issues. It's creating more and more money for big pharma. It is creating more and more lifelong customers. And anybody that chooses to transition their body, they are also becoming a lifelong customer for big pharma. And in addition, and I'm still not saying this to scare you, it's again the crescendo, it's the building up of, so that it can all come down and the med beds can be rolled out. But in addition to that, you're having a lot of people now that are presenting symptoms from this that they got for the thing 19. So, and one more thing that I almost forgot. They're finding out now that the lockdowns that had happened over the last few years did more harm than good, right? So maybe, and I'm not getting into a debate with anybody. If you want to say that it was the right way to go, this is not a video about that. You're welcome to go do the research and look this up, and you can discover that they are now saying that it has perhaps done more harm than good, especially from a mental health perspective, where people have really, genetically, in our DNA, are hardwired to be social creatures. It's part of our genetic makeup, because if you were perhaps not part of a whole or as a group, you were not with your hunters and your gatherers, you would die. So we are hardwired to be social creatures. When you take away the social component, it can have a myriad of long-term side effects that we may not even be fully aware of, but we're just kind of starting to come and understand it. So all of this has created a perfect landscape of a lot of disease, a lot of physical disease, mental health issues, and mistrust in the medical system as a whole. I cannot think of a better way than to bring that whole system down and roll out and introduce something that is new, that is of the light and not of the dark. So, enter med beds. Now, the way that med beds work, and I'm just going to refer to my notes because the way that it had come in and was presented to me was very, very interesting, and I want to make sure that I'm not actually misspeaking about it. But the way that MedBed works is on a vibration to harmonize the body and all of the cells that are in it. And since it is such a high vibration tool, anything that is not a high vibration in it, like a sickness, an illness, or a disease, would be eradicated by it. So that is actually another reason why it has been suppressed. So let's just talk about that for a minute. So my understanding in looking at this and looking at the energy all around it is that the actual technology and actual med beds have been available since approximately, I would say, the 1980s. But like I had said at the beginning, it was suppressed by the shadow government or by the cabal. They want you sick, they want you diseased, they want your louche, they want you on a low vibration so you're easier to control. They are all in bed with big pharma, so they're all making money. So that's why in a very, very three-dimensional and dark way, the technology has been suppressed. But it has also not been available for a reason that is of the light. And that is because it is such a high vibration, and it would therefore kill anything in the body that is not of a high vibration as well. It stands to reason that if people as a whole, humanity as a whole, is in a lower vibration, it would not only kill the sickness and disease in the person, it would also kill the host body. And that is not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to eradicate disease and bring people up to an optimum level of health. So if you're killing them, that doesn't really go hand in hand with what the purpose of what a med bed is. So we as a whole in humanity have not been ready for it because we are not in energetic alignment with it. We are not in energetic match with it. We are still in a low vibration, but that is changing. As humanity is starting to ascend, as our vibration is starting to rise, we are becoming more ready for it. So that's why there's all of these things that are going on simultaneously. We're rising and we're becoming aware of the darker systems. As we become aware of the darker systems, we start to look into it and investigate it. Then we start to say, this is not for us. We do not consent to the way that we have been treated medically as a whole. So we withdraw our attention and consent from it, and we start to explore alternative treatments. And then we're starting to find out about how the government's in bed with big pharma and how all of these doctors have a financial incentive in pushing it. And therefore, we're calling for the system to come down. And very much as a whole, not just the medical industry, but over the next few years, anything that is not of the good, anything that is not a vibrational match with where we are going and how we are ascending, it's going to have to come down. That's just the way vibrations work. Things that are not a harmonious vibration cannot energetically line up. So, for example, I think it's probably worth saying this. If anyone is watching this, feels like you're perhaps not in a good place in your life, instead of looking at the external, right? Instead of looking at the window shades on your window, look at what perhaps is going on with you and your vibration. Because once you clean up your own personal vibration, then the world around you starts to change because it is no longer an energetic match for what was. So it has to only become an energetic match for what is. So when you start to always focus on yourself first and cleaning up your vibration and cleaning up the things that are in your own personal life, the external will start to change with you. It has to. And also something that was really, really interesting that came through as I was looking into this was, if you guys have seen any of the Indiana Jones movies. So one of the movies, and I don't remember which one it is, but there's one with the Ark of the Covenant. And there's a scene at the end of the film where Indiana Jones is brought to like this desert location, which again, if you know, because you've watched my videos, I've shared many times that deserts are a high vibration location. So the Ark of the Covenant was brought to this high vibration desert location. He was there with, I guess, his girlfriend in the film, and there was Nazi soldiers, and they had one of the Nazi soldiers had the traditional garb of what the Kohen Gadol, which was like the high priest at the time of the temple. He was wearing like the traditional garb, and he was saying prayers and incantations over the Ark of the Covenant because they wanted to open it and bring out God's source energy directly, which is said to dwell in it. So they had somebody that was doing the incantations to open it up and bring forth God's source energy. And if you go back and watch that movie, what happened next is fascinating. All of the soldiers that were there, the priest that was doing the incantations, when the so-called God source energy was brought out of the ark, it killed all of those people. And Indiana was yelling at, I think her name was Marianne in the film, which is funny that I don't remember what film it is, but I remember the girlfriend's name. But he was yelling at her, close your eyes, don't look at it. Because it was beautiful, it looked like it was angelic beings. And therefore all of the guards were looking at it because it was so beautiful. But the thing is, it could look into the soul of the person. And in the acknowledgement that they were not an energetic match, what happened to all of those people? They all died. And he was yelling at her, don't look at it, keep your eyes closed, because he was seeing all the guards around him that were dying from it, and seeing how that this angelic being was like coming right up into their face and looking into their eyes, seeing into their soul to see what their core soul essence was. And in the assertion that it was not a vibrational alignment, were killed. He was yelling, keep your eyes closed, don't look at it. And him and this Marianne actually survived because of it. Which is it's kind of cute. I'm not going to be so blithe as to suggest, you know, keep your eyes closed throughout all of your life so angelic beings can't look into you. But it's really to make the connection in perhaps a way that we can, it's not quite so esoteric, where we're talking about vibrations and like the energy of something, but where we're really saying like, is something a vibrational match? And if it's not a vibrational match, you're just not going to line up. And the movie did a really, really good job in depicting that. These guards were all team dark side. They were not high vibe. They were not a vibrational match for it, and therefore they were killed by it. And that's very much what would happen with the med beds. Now, what's interesting as well, because I guess I opened up a can of worms and I'm talking about, you know, the film and how it's highlighting this, which is to say, there's a lot of tells, there's a lot of outs that is in movies and films and TV shows. And that is done for a number of reasons as well, which is, first of all, if it's in a movie, especially if it's in like perhaps a Marvel movie or like a superhero movie or something like that, then it's already, the content and the matter of the film is outside the realm of possibility. It's already more like characterized as like a superhero film or like a fantasy film. So anything that's in it that's like a disclosure or a reveal is lumped together with the fact that it's not, you know, oriented in actual, the realm of possibility. So it's outed, but it's immediately discounted as fantasy. So if there is a person who's watching this who has stumbled across this concept of med beds and you think that they're perhaps real and you try to talk to somebody about it, or maybe it's not med beds, maybe it's portals or anything of that ilk, it's immediately dismissed for the reason that it's in a movie, so it has to be pretend. That is a very, very clever way to disclose what is actually within the realm of possibility to people, but without the idea that it can actually happen. And this is very much done because the cabal, which is not just a shadow government, but it's the same people that, for example, are in the music industry and in the movies that are making these deals, right? So it's not just government, it's any faction where there's different tiers and where there's any sort of a societal component or a societal push for the way things can change and be oriented. So because of that, you have this cabal that, according to their laws of karma, they have to disclose these things and they have to let you know what they're going to do before they do it, and they have to reveal things to you. So therefore, by it being revealed to us, they're, so to say, clear. Because people watch these films, they know what's in it. In watching it, in giving their attention to it, in paying to go to a movie and to see these things, you are consenting to the fact that you acknowledge these things are real, that they exist, that is the way it works according to their karma. I can't pretend that I understand it. Again, probably because I'm not a vibrational match for it. It seems very subversive. It seems very it's an undercut. It's a way of, again, taking your consent and taking your life force energy, but not actually giving you anything in return. You're getting sold things that are real as being fake, and it assuages their fact that they are undercutting it from you. So again, according to their laws of karma, they have to out things, but it's always done in a way in which to cast light on something as not being real or not being authentic. And it's really being cast in this way of being like this fake fantasy. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It does. Med beds absolutely exist. Portals absolutely exist. Us having wizard-like powers, this stuff all exists. Like, just comment down below if you're thinking, like, you wanna know, because I can't think of anything right now. But like, if you want to have an understanding of like what has been put forth in movies, is it real? Is it within the realm of possibility? Comment down below and I will tell you unequivocally if it's real or if it's not real. But I'm also just going to say that if it is in movies, there's about a 99% chance that this stuff is real. Now, you might be wondering, okay, so this stuff is real. Why then how is it being put forth into the world? Are the screenwriters that are writing about it, do they know that it's real? But are they, like, if they know about it, are they partaking in it? Do they know about these med beds? Do they know that all of this magic is real? Like, what's going on? So there's a few things that are going on about that, which is, number one, if you have not seen my video on the on the movie industry and on Hollywood, go back and watch that. Because I had shared in there that there's kind of like a World Wide Web where all of these the writers, the directors, the producers, they can all connect into it and they can kind of see like what's available and what's out there. So what are the films that are out there? What are the projects that are not yet out there but that people are talking about? What are the screenplays that are available? Who are they waiting for? Are they waiting for the star or the starlet? They can all kind of connect to it. So they can draw the inspiration down from it. That's if they're working in concert with the beings that are on the astral realm and they know about the beings that are on the astral realm and they consent to have their body used by these entities so they can have their jollies, and in exchange they connect to the World Wide Web of what's available in all of Hollywood. So that's one way that it can happen. Another way is that some writers can connect to the dark forces and they allow themselves to be used to, again, for the rules of karma, they allow themselves to be used where they bring forth the information into the world so that it can be shared. And I know, I'm not supposed to name names, but and if you watch me, I'm always like, my mom's like, don't name names. I'm gonna probably have to stop really naming names, but this is like such a juicy one and it never made sense to me, and I'm gonna explain why in a minute. If you look at a person like, let's not even say it's him. A person like a Stephen King, for example, a very prolific writer, unbelievably prolific, always producing content on an ongoing basis. So he has the books by his namesake, Stephen King. He also has books that he has written under a different name. I guess he was maybe trying like a different writing style or something, I don't know. But he has pseudonyms that he would also write books under. I think maybe in the beginning he didn't want it to be known that it's him, but now everybody knows that it's him. Not the point. The point is, someone like a Stephen King, how the hell is he producing content on an ongoing basis the way that he does? It's mind-blowing. And I can honestly tell you, as somebody that has, this is not relevant. I'm not even going to talk about it. But it's just mind-blowing that somebody that's on that can do that. How does he do that? And if you think about the content that somebody like a Stephen King, for example, maybe not even him in particular, but somebody like a Stephen King, all of the work that they produce is of this darker nature. Interesting. I don't think I've ever read a Stephen King book that wasn't creepy in some way, or didn't introduce an element of something that was like, you didn't necessarily want to read the book if you would be home alone at night and it's raining, you know? So somebody like that is, again, maybe it's not him per se, but it's a somebody like that is connecting not to the Hollywood machine, but they can connect to the astral realm. They, just like I can sit down and I can receive information and meditation, but I am specifically saying when I sit down, just like when I'm channeling information for my videos, or just like when I'm doing a reading for somebody and I'm setting the intention that I only want information that comes in that is for this person's highest good. And I am only connecting to, and I ground myself and I protect my energy, but I set the intention that I'm only connecting to entities and beings that are of the light, that I'm only connecting or asking to connect to God's light source energy. So just like I can sit down with that intention and I can channel information that is for someone's highest good, or I can bring forth information that as a whole is to share with you people, my audience, and anyone who's watching this video, that is for the highest good. Just like I can do that, people can sit down and they are not, either intentionally, they may not know that they have to protect their energy, or they may intentionally be connecting to entities on the dark side. They could have made a deal with the entities on the astral realm, right? Like this person wants success, so they're going to make a deal with the devil, so to say, where they're going to allow themselves to be open and inhabited by these darker entities. And in exchange, these darker entities are bringing down information that the person would not necessarily have access to otherwise. Even if it's not the entities, they can make a deal and they can say they want to specifically connect with darker entities, and they want to bring forth information that is not of the good, that is not of the light, that is creating, one could argue also, here's the thing, I was going to say that's creating a low vibration. I would say it's more contributing to a low vibration, right? Because again, if the vibration on Earth was all pure and high vibe and light, then the information would not be a vibrational match and it would not even be able to come down. So I would say the fact that it is able to come down is because it's coming into an environment that is also a vibrational match for it. A lot of this stuff, as time goes on, is not going to be produced in the way that it's being produced right now. People are maybe not going to even want to read books by somebody like a Stephen King, for example. They're not necessarily going to want to watch movies and films that don't make them feel good. Like scary movies may be a thing of the past. Like bloodbath movies may be a thing, not maybe, will definitely be a thing of the past. But while we are still not quite there yet, we are still a vibrational match for these things. So again, I would say, work on your own vibration first. Work on your own energetic blueprint. Work on your vibration and look at the ways that you can start to, perhaps, if this is something that is of interest to you, start to clean up your own vibration. Because energy is contagious. Energy is everything, you know, and if you've ever been with a friend, for example, and they've been in like a shit mood, and then you parted ways and you felt like you still had that shit mood energy on you, it's because it's contagious. They You left with their energy imprint and an energy tag from that person. So focus on your own vibration, focus on your own ascension and ways in which you can start to clean up your own vibration. And then you will start to see that happening around you. Right? And this actually is a message that's coming in right now for Julie. And she keeps changing her screen name. You're so funny, Julie. Her handle, actually. But it's like Julie was saying she's not moving for the next 7 months. And that, you know, she's really, really looking forward to moving, but she feels like she's in a bit of a holding pattern. So Julie, this is perhaps an opportunity to look into your own current energetic vibration right now and to see, for example, what can I do in preparation so that when I get to this place, because maybe right now we're not in energetic and vibrational alignment right now. So this is very much an opportunity to explore how am I maybe not in energetic match for it, and that's why I can only move in 7 months' time, and that I'm not going to move right now. So it's because you are not in energetic match for this new location that you are moving to. Great opportunity to do the introspection and to look into yourself and to explore, why am I not a vibrational match for it right now, that I'm not moving right now, but I will be moving in 7 months? Because nothing is a coincidence. Everything is according to the laws of vibrational match. So I just wanted to put that forth for Julie and anyone else that also you feel like you're not exactly in the place that you want to be right now, but you know where you're going, so to say. So what can you do in the interim to clean up your own personal vibration that will best make you a vibrational match with it? Okay, one more thing I want to add to this video that is pretty important and pretty relevant as well, which is that in addition to what I had said at the beginning about people needing healing, and it's, you know, because of this, not exclusively just to that, but there's a lot of sickness and disease as a whole because of the current state of how things are going, and that yes, we are still in a vibrational match for it, obviously, but that in the future, the souls that have chosen to be here during this time, and what I mean to say by that is that the world is going to change very, very drastically over the next, I would say in the next 10 years, the world is not going to resemble the world that we're in right now. And it's going to get bumpy and it's going to get gnarly. But it's all, again, because as our vibration begins to ascend and as we begin to ascend, the matches, the current structures and systems that are in place that are no longer a vibrational match will have to come down. But we can experience it and we can go into it intellectually understanding it. It's not to change the fact that when we're going through it, though, it is going to be very unsettling. It's going to be very dysregulating. It can be scary as hell. It could feel like the world is ending. I just want to assure you, no, it is not ending. It's the downfall of what is no longer of the light and is no longer good and no longer a vibrational match for where we are going. But it's still going to feel scary. And there are souls that are not going to want to stick around to see that. There are souls that are not going to want to stick around to see how perhaps people may be leaving, or their bodies may be choosing to leave the earth en masse over the next few years. It can be really, really scary to see that. And people don't necessarily want to. So just know, first of all, that any soul that chooses to leave during this time, it's exactly that. It is their choice. We all have soul contracts. We were all given the choice before we chose to incarnate into our physical bodies at this time. If we wanted to, first of all, incarnate at this time, to be witnesses to how things are going to change. But also if we wanted to be witness to it. Do you want to be around for the entirety of the time? Do you want to see everything that's going to happen? Do you want to be here for part of the time? It is a soul choice. So anyone that crosses over that you see, please know that it was their choice. They were given the choice. If you are choosing to stick around, that was also your choice. So while it can be very scary to see a lot of people starting to leave, they had the choice. It is scary as hell to say, I want to stick around and I want to see this. Knowing that it could be very, very gnarly, knowing that it's going to feel like the world may be ending, bearing witness to all of these things. So it is a soul choice. If you are here and you are surviving and you are going to be living through this, that was your choice. But a lot of people do not want to be around for that. So that is also additionally scary, because you're going to see people leaving because they didn't want to. They wanted to go only so far and not all the way. That was their choice. But it's scary for those of us that have agreed to come here and stay. So we're going to need a lot of healing, right? We're going to need a lot of healing from the trauma of seeing people leaving. We're going to need a lot of healing from the trauma of what we have not yet bared witness to, what we will be witness to. I'm not sure how to say that, but there's going to be trauma associated with it. So we're all going to need healing. We're going to need a lot of emotional healing. We're going to need a lot of healing when the full extent of understanding the mind control that we have been subjugated to for all of this time. Healing about the things that we will experience but have not experienced yet. Healing for the things that are going to come out. Healing for our mental health. Healing for our bodies. Healing for, and yes, even, the people that are perhaps making altering changes to their body that cannot be undone. There's going to just need to be healing as a whole. And the med beds will become available for that. But again, it's a crescendo. It's this buildup. It's this development over time. Think of a volcano before it erupts. So you have the magma. Everything is underground. It's bubbling up. It's bubbling up. It's bubbling up. It's hot. It's creating a really, really hot environment in the ground. And then as it builds up to the point where it can no longer be contained, there's an eruption. There's an explosion. That is very much what is happening. So if it feels like the world is getting worse right now, it feels that way, definitely. First of all, it's temporary. Second of all, it's by design. Third of all, it's the building up of all of this magma. It is just prior to the eruption. We are very much on the precipice right now. And only at the precipice can we enact real long-term revolutionary changes into the world that do not include violence. So not calling for any sort of violence here. I'm just saying that what you're experiencing, what you're viewing, the way that the world is starting to look around you is the bubbling up of this volcano. But it's all for the good. I've consistently seen it. I've consistently looked. I have never, except for one period of time in which I saw something that looked like a possible timeline, but again, they always change. Every time I have looked into the future, and I have looked to see what will happen and what will the world go through and how will it change, but how will we end up? I've never ever seen anything other than it being of the light, of the good, high vibration, massive levels of healing, and massive levels of happiness. Because we will no longer be enslaved. We will be free. We will be healthy. We will be living the way that God intended for us to live. So I hope that this has brought some level of comfort for you for the way that the world is possibly going to change, but what the end result is, and also in illuminating and bringing any sort of light to this idea of med beds and things that are of light, things that are not of the light, and how they all go together. Because here's the thing. Nothing going on in the world right now is going on in a vacuum. Everything is connected. So what is connected to, first of all, like you might be seeing in the music and movies, is connected to what is going on with the government, and is connected to what is going on with the medical system. It's all connected. Where it's dominoes. When the one domino goes down, all of the dominoes around it will start to go down as well. Old systems have to come down because they're not in energetic alignment with where we're going. And the good news is, as we ascend, everything that comes thereafter, everything that is rebuilt, is of the light and is high vibration. I just can't think of a better way to end this video than that. So as always, I hope that you found this video to be interesting and informative. If you have, please go ahead and click that like button, share it. If you're new here, please subscribe. And as always, until next time, stay in the high vibration.